Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host. There's me pretending I'm a MMA fighter. Absolutely not. Don't look like I'm in ring shape at all. But today's guest, he absolutely is. He has competed in UFC, Bellator, Golden Boy Promotions, LXF, and UNF. Please welcome Albert, the Belizean warrior, Morales. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
All good, man. I appreciate the intro, man. You got everything down.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Good
appreciate
start so
it.
far, mate. Good start so far. But thank you for coming on. As I said you before recording, and when I did reach out to you initially, this is kind of my first specific MMA related episode, as it is predominantly a wrestling podcast. But I actually believe that the wrestling and MMA are more similar than people think. If you think about the promos, the entrances, and even the feuds themselves, have been inspired by wrestling. I think Danny White himself said that, and a lot of MMA people have said that as well. And even if you look at some of the former MMA fighters, Ronda Rousey, Ken Shamrock, Matt Riddle, Shayna Baszler, who all have been in MMA and had successful careers, transitioned to wrestling and were very successful. So I want to ask you, just before we discuss your MMA career, because I feel obliged to ask you, are you a fan of pro wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you say is what you determine as a fan, right?
Yeah,
I had my moment, man. I was a big Undertaker fan, big Kane fan,
nice.
Rob Van Dam, um, Chris Benoit. Even though all the craziness, but Chris
Yeah,
Benoit was one of my
as a
guys,
wrestler,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The Hardy Boys. I was like in that middle between like when WCW became WWE, and
Hmm.
then when it became did it change?
Yeah, so after that they bought out WCW. About a year later, that actually became WWE. So it was WWF for like 40, 50 years. And then due to the
Sure.
issue with the animal company, they had to change it legally. And it's just, yes, it all got a bit messy. But since 2002, they have been WWE.
Yeah, I remember the merge over. So like I remember The Rock being the big guy. I
Yeah.
remember I know John Cena was like I know he like came back. So like
Mhm.
I stay like I remember I don't know like I guess my last like big memory was the first Elimination Chamber. And I
Nice.
remember, yeah, like I
Shawn
remember,
Michaels, yeah.
yeah. Who won that one?
Shawn Michaels, he actually just come back from an injury, 4 years out, and then his haircut's all dodgy. But the match itself's awesome, and it's at Madison Square Garden in New York.
See, I didn't even pay. I did not pay. Who was in that? Who was in? Do you remember?
Okay, this is where I show off my proper nerd fandom. So you had Kane, Booker T, Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and RVD.
RVD. I was gonna say that. I didn't want to sound wrong, but RVD was the guy who was going for it. When he got
Yeah.
eliminated, I remember like crying. I was so devastated. Yeah. So yeah,
Man.
man, I love wrestling, but like as I got older, I kind of went away from it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I appreciate it. I have a lot of my friends actually fight MMA,
Mhm.
have transitioned at wrestling as Bulletproof Troop.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He used to he's actually I think he still actively fights too. He's just more focusing on wrestling.
Yeah.
My friend Zeta. Actually, Daria, her name is Sonia Deville.
Yeah.
She's in
Yeah.
WWE. Yeah, I was
Could have
actually
mentioned her as well. Fuck.
yeah, she's actually a really good friend of mine from way back.
Yeah.
We were amateurs together because she actually fought MMA.
Oh wow. No, that's pretty
So,
cool, man.
she has two MMA fights, and then she ended up going into
Yeah.
wrestling.
That's pretty cool, man. Like, you've just got yourself over with my wrestling fans, and the
Let's
podcast
go.
is out there already. And I assume a lot of them already MMA fans, but after listening to this, they'll be fans of you for sure. So I want to know how did you actually get into the sport itself of combat sport and mixed martial arts?
Okay. Like as a kid, I grew up. I enjoyed fighting, man. I kind of like being like the guy who'd be down to scrap, the guy who'd win fights a lot. Like I was into that stuff. Um, but I never trained. I didn't do any of that. I got into MMA. I was actually in jail. You know,
Really?
I was actually in jail. Yeah, yeah, I was actually in jail. My girlfriend was pregnant, had just had my daughter. My daughter
Yeah.
actually, I wasn't there for the birth of my daughter, and I was in jail. And I was sitting there playing cards with my friends, and I was like, man, like I was thinking to myself as I was playing cards. I was like, man, like I gotta change my life, dude. Like,
Hmm.
I can't be in here. Like, I have a kid. My dad wasn't there. I have to be there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, and then randomly, the Ultimate Fighter, it was I forgot what season it was, but it was the one where Tony Ferguson won with Brock Lesnar, and it pops on, and usually they cut it off because they don't want inmates watching fights, but for some reason the
I can
guards left
imagine.
it on. I guess they were watching it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I remember watching my stepdad was he practiced jujitsu, so he introduced me to MMA and the UFC. So and like I said, I was a fan of wrestling, so I kind of knew about the UFC a little bit, and
Yeah.
I did watch the Ultimate Fighter. But I was sitting there, I was like, you know what, man? Like I used to fight. I was still fighting in jail and stuff like that, and I was like, you know what, like I think I could do that. Like I could do that. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna try and do that. And my friends were like, "Yo, man, shut up, play your hand." You know what I mean? I was like, "Watch when I get out." I was
Yeah.
like, "When I get out, I'm gonna do that." And that's what it was, man. I got out. I
Yeah.
googled the closest gym to me, and that's all she wrote.
Mm.
You know, 4 years later, I was in the UFC, and then till this day, I think I've been training for about like 11 years now. So
Just a few things to dissect as well, and I do respect that you've been open about that as well. And one thing that I do appreciate is if they're going your social media, you are a family man. You can't deny it, and you're always you're proud of being a dad, and you're of your children as well, and the fact that you'll post about them, not just yourself. And it's quite rewarding. I can see that from all your fights, and then get spend time with them and show them off as well. That that's the result of your hard work as well. What I do want to know and establish as well. So, what does it mean to you to be a fighter?
to be a fighter, I mean, it's everything at this point. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's everything. Like it should be everything and everybody. You know, you should. I think we're all like designed to fight. You know,
Yeah,
whether it's to fight like physically or fight for what we want to do.
yeah,
You know, you have to fight for whatever. Like it's not gonna be. It's never gonna be easy. You know, and that's like something that fighting has taught me. But that should be in everybody's life. You know, fight, fight, fight. Like it's everything. Waking up in the morning and fighting yourself to get out of bed is a fight. You feel me? But you have to win that fight, or else you're just gonna sit there. So it's everything. Yeah.
yeah. And I respect that. So kind of like all or nothing really, but it's sort of a lot of kind of imagine being like a lot of a mental game as opposed to just being a physical game as well.
Big time. Big time. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely physical too,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the mental what drives the physical, because when you're tired and you don't want to go, you gotta mentally tell yourself,
Mm.
fuck that, you gotta keep going. You can push yourself a lot harder. I mean, you might not be as fast, right? Like as when you started, but you can keep just going. Like you might be fucking tired, but you pick your foot up,
Mhm.
you keep your hands up, keep moving, you'll recompose, you'll recover, and then you can keep going. You can get another burst. So just keep fighting. So yeah.
Your first
I don't
amateur.
know if that answered the question.
No, no, that's good. No, that's fine. I don't think there is a simple way to answer that, but I just want to sort of, just get an understanding, a better understanding what it means to be a fighter. Someone who's just a podcaster, but is a fan of the sport and respects anyone that does go into the octagon, or try, or even trains. Even it's not easy. I happily admit I'm quite lazy, but I really do appreciate those that do it themselves, and will never ever be able to be like I can do that. Fuck no, I can't. Absolutely not. But just even speaking to you and just getting that passion through this interview right now. But what I want to know is your first ever amateur fight. I want to know mentally going into the fight itself, how were you and the actual aftermath and just the fight itself? Because I actually asked wrestlers about their first ever match, but so I think it'll be quite interesting to hear about your first ever mixed martial arts match.
Um, a bunch of emotions for sure, and I think, and it's crazy. It's always the same thing. Like there's
Hmm.
always a bunch of emotions every single fight. It's always different. You
Yeah.
know, even as dialed in as you can be, anything could happen. It's crazy. But my first my first amateur fight, leading up to it, I was excited, man. It was like finally, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
This is what I've been training to do. Like this is it. From getting out of jail, like I have no martial arts experience. So from getting out of jail, it was 2 years, like from jail 2 years, I was making my amateur debut. So I was like super excited because
Yeah,
I didn't understand what it took to become a fighter. Like I thought you would just go to a boxing gym, learn how to punch, and then you go and fight. Or so I had no idea there was amateurs, professionals,
yeah,
you
like
know,
rankings and
even to get to the UFC. I had
levels.
no idea. But once I understood that, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's work. So I was in a rush to get to that first fight because I was in a rush to get to the UFC. And so like I was just so excited, man. It was cool. And the cool thing is I was going to a fighter gym. So I saw a lot of my older friends going out and fighting. So I was motivated, even more hungry just to be like, yo, you guys got cool wins, but I'm about to finish everybody, you know? So like
Yeah.
I was excited, man. Um and same thing. As soon as that belt, I mean the nerves of like fuck, I better not like mess up, you
Mm.
know, like I don't want to lose in front of my friends. I don't want to lose in front of my girlfriend. Like I don't want to like lose in front of my mom didn't go. She was a little nervous, but my stepdad was there and my real dad was there too. And so they were both there and I was like, man, I can't lose in front of the
Oh,
homies. And
yeah. Any more pressure then?
yeah. But at the end of the day, man, I went out there and I just chunked them.
Mm.
I got tired. I got tired. And I remember it ended up going to the second round. I ended up taking the guys back and submitting them
Hmm.
and I was exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was just I from the jump. Like it's funny because we went to go touch gloves, right? And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna touch gloves. I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna fire, right? That's what I was gonna do. So I went in there. I touched the guy's glove, and as soon as I touched, I fired my cross, and it was just right away. Like in
Nice.
my mind, it was a cheap shot, right? But like in my mind, I swear to God, I was like it was like touch, and then I fired, but it wasn't. It
Yeah.
was touch, and I took off. And so so I that was a little bit of nerves, you know. But it was cool, man. It was cool. It was a great
Mm.
experience, and I was just excited, man. I was
And
a
you got the
hungry kid.
result that you wanted as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was hungry as a kid, as the amateur in the beginning half of my pro career. I
Hmm.
was just there's nothing that could stop me. I was just let's go.
Yeah, no, that's blessed, man. And you went into Bellator quite quick as well. I mean, it's quite astonishing with someone that didn't really grow up watching MMA, didn't really have like, didn't grow up training in, to do like mixed martial arts or just variations of it like karate or whatever, jiu-jitsu. And for you to be in Bellator and you went on quite a decent streak as well. How did you get your foot into Bellator?
Um, I was so after my first fight, um, I got offered a title fight. Well, no, I didn't get offered a title fight. Nobody wanted to fight the champion, and I said I'd fight him,
Yeah,
and I ended up winning. So I became the Spar Star champion. And Spar Star is like it's a local show over here, but it's one of the best. It's one of the top shows. Like Carlos Sparza was the Spar Star champion.
yeah,
Myself, a lot of our Black House guys that were with Spar Star champs. But that guy like he ended up because of that I qualified to become a to fight for the state championship, and I went in and I fought for the state championship at the end of the year. um and I lost the decision, but a lot of people thought I could have won, but it is what it is, right? But
yeah.
someone saw, and I think they worked for Bellator, and they invited me over to Bellator, got me connected with it.
And how did you find Bellator
So
role? Because I know you've been there twice, technically.
I've been there 3 times. I've
Oh,
been
the
there
three
three
times,
times. So
right?
yeah, I debuted for Bell. It was a big deal. Actually, the owner of Sparstar, Tony Padilla, got me into Bellator. Actually,
Yeah,
um, shout out to him. So he actually got me into Bellator both times, and it was just because I was this champ, you know, and he got me into it. I was excited. Again, it was I was excited, and the thing is, I was brought in to lose
hmm,
both of my Bellator fights. There's the A side, B side fighter. But for me, I didn't care. I was like, I'm the A side fighter, anyways. So I didn't care. Like to me, honestly, every fight didn't matter. The only fight was the UFC. That's all I cared about was just getting to the UFC.
yeah,
Um, so it was cool. It was cool. It was cool because I mean, I'm blessed, bro. Honestly, all I did was work, and God blessed me. Um, because most fighters their first fight they're getting $600 and it costs almost 2,000 to fight. You have to pay like almost like $2,000 just for medicals and licensing just alone.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like,
I didn't realize that.
yeah,
I thought it was just like,
yeah,
yeah, here you go, you get paid, that's it. And then I didn't realize there's more to it.
yeah, just to fight. right? Your debut. You have to, well, I mean, it makes sense. You have to get medically clear. They have to see
Yeah.
if you're like, you know, um, but yeah, but now I think it's like around $800. I think it kind of went down, but yeah, at that time it was pretty expensive,
Mm.
and uh, but I was blessed because my debut I was making like $4,000, which is still not that much, but it's a lot compared to like $600, which these guys out
Oh
here at the
yeah.
local shows are making. So I was definitely blessed, man, and I had two good showings, two
Hmm.
good finishes, and then that was it. That was it. Then I went on as a free agent
Yeah.
and ended up going on a winning streak and found myself fighting in front of Dana White
Mm.
and getting signed to the UFC.
UFC, we'll touch on that as you mentioned, like just getting there. Um, what I do want to obviously UFC, biggest MMA company out there in the world. Um, but I want to know, how would you describe your overall experience in the UFC, and how does it know? Sorry, how does it feel knowing that you are fighting against the best talent in the world?
Oh man, like looking back at it, it's awesome, man. I can't wait to go back.
Mm.
It's way different. It's way different, man. Like the way everything is run, the
Hmm.
way you feel like you're among like you say you feel like you're amongst the best in the world just because of the title of UFC, and
Yeah,
you are, dude. You know what I mean? Like I have to like give these fighters credits, like everybody there is the best in the world, man. And that's exactly where I want to be. I want to be amongst the best in the world. Um, it's cool, man. I wish I would have appreciated it a little bit more.
hmm,
I was too much like too hungry, too talking like too like caught up in my own hype,
still quite young
at
as
the
well
time.
when you
Like
went
what?
to UFC as well.
Yeah, yeah. I was 24.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was crazy because like literally like I keep talking like my mom hates when I bring up jail, but it's like such a big
that's fine,
part.
mate. Honestly, it's
Yeah,
yeah, but you've got that
it's
redemption, so it's you're not shying
yeah.
away from it. I'm more than happy to hear, mate.
No, dude, and it's kind of the reason why I share my daughters because like I'm very private myself, but at the same
Mm.
time, like I do share some stuff, and I share my daughters because I want other fathers to see stuff like that. The same way I talk about jails because I want other kids to see like, yo, you can switch it up
Yeah,
because from 18 to 21 I was in and out of jail, right? So I never had a job. Like I mean, I think I had like one like fake sales like door-to-door job, but like nothing real.
yeah,
um and then I got out of jail at 21. 4 years later I was in the UFC. So it's like you like anything is possible. You just got to just work, just set your mind to something and
yeah.
work. And I don't know how I got into that shit, but yeah, man, UFC was awesome, bro. I can't wait to go back for sure.
So if they do like Ultimate Fighter, I mean this season as we're currently in at the moment, I think Connor's team finally won one. Uh, but yeah, if they give you an opportunity to come back, as a next fighter, I'm going to
I
assume
tried.
you have that opportunity if Dana comes
I
knocking.
tried, man. Hell yeah, man.
Oh, did you
I
try for
tried.
this season as well?
I tried to, but it's all about who you know.
Yeah,
And then also, hey, Connor came in and took out like four guys or something like that for his homies to get on there too. So some things you can't control.
yeah.
And honestly, man, like I said, you just gotta just stay down, 10 toes down, man, and just keep pushing.
Hmm.
And it's gonna happen, if you whatever you want, bro. And maybe, I know sometimes people say shit doesn't happen, but maybe it's not what you want, but it's what you need. It's gonna happen. But just keep it pushing.
Stay focused,
Um,
stay grounded. But I'm sure it'll come knocking on your door when you least expect it as well.
yeah,
I've got to ask you, when you were fighting for the UFC, you actually fought in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, I'm in the UK, but I'm in England. But I do have a lot of UK fans, a few listeners from Scotland. So I'm sure they want to hear what it was like for you to fight in Scotland. And how did you find the folks in Glasgow, Scotland?
I love Glasgow, Scotland. I love them, bro. I love the UK, bro. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. Um, uh, it was a little dark, right? I think I was there around the winter a little bit, so it was a little bit dark. But I enjoy that weather.
Mm.
I enjoy like because me and my coaches, it was actually cool because I had all my coaches with me. I had Coach Kenny Johnson. I had James Teal. At the time, those were my two coaches, so it was real cool. We got to visit, the UK and see all the agriculture, all the freaking buildings. It was nice, man. The
Mhm.
people, the fans were insane, and like I still have fans till this day from Glasgow from that card.
Yeah.
Um, it was cool, man. It was cool. Afterwards, I was pissed because I lost, but the fans made it all cool because I was walking that because I didn't want to take the bus. I walked the street, and all the fans were like,
Good job.
"Morales, man,
Fucking
good
hell.
fight." Yeah, it was tight, man. It was cool, bro. I can't. I would love to
Mm.
fight there again, man. I love traveling the world and seeing different cultures.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but for sure, UK. I can't wait, man.
No, mate.
I can't
When
wait
it's
to go
back
back.
and it's England, just let me know and I'll come see you. But us
Oh
Brits,
man,
us British
that'd be a
folks,
dream.
we do genuinely appreciate it, mate. Like whether you're a winner or a loser, as long as we get a good fight, we applaud you both. That's how we see it, and as long as you're both trying, that's all we care about. Get our money's worth. But I just want to know, just to sort of put a lid on the UFC talk. What were your interactions like with Dana White?
Dana, well, you don't really get to talk to him like at where I was. I never really got to the Dana White status, Dana
Yeah.
White privilege status, But the interactions, like I mean, when he signed me, super cool.
Hmm.
He's a business guy, man. He's got to run a business, so
Yeah.
um, I don't know. He was always cool. I mean, I'm trying to think. Did I get a Dana White? Oh, yeah, actually, I did. I did get a Dana White. So he does these things like sometimes when I guess on a big card, he'll come and he'll hype us up.
Yeah.
It was for the Tyron Woodley versus Wonder Boy fight, the first one. Dana White came and hyped us up, and he just told us, "Go out there and make your money, man. There's three bonuses on the table. Go get them." And he's super cool.
Mm.
Dana White was cool, man.
Great sell.
Uh, the
I mean, he
the
can sell ice to Eskimo. I completely forgot what the expression was. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, that
But
was
no, he's a
cool.
charmer, absolutely. And I do enjoy listening to him talk, and I think he's a good promoter. But I know a lot of
Yeah,
fans aren't the biggest fans of him, but each to their own. That's what I'm going to say.
yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about. Yeah, I mean, you can't be loved by everybody, you
Exactly.
know.
No, that's cool, man. While I've been on the undercard for Golden Boy Promotions Little Ortiz match, I know that must have been quite an experience for you, but I'm sure there was something else that happened that must have been a bigger moment for you, and more memorable, and a life changing moment. So talk to me about the fight first, and then we'll talk to the listeners about what happened after the fight.
Yeah, that's a funny situation right there. Um, yeah, yeah. So, I don't know how to start because this is gonna be a funny one. This is an hilarious one because all right, but no, the fight was actually that's a very like big fight in my career because this
Mhm.
was my first fight outside the UFC,
Yeah,
and I felt like I was like I don't know, man. Like it's weird. Like I was so caught up in my ego while I was in the UFC. I was because everything was going for me, and then I got to the UFC and I only had one win. I had one win, one draw, and like six losses. It's like the fact that they kept me that long was like a shout out to them. But I guess I was kind of entertaining. I'd get down, but I didn't. I was like as soon as I got to the UFC, I started partying and doing all kind of nonsense and kind of just like I said, got lost in my own head. I thought
like I
I was
said,
bigger
though,
than
you're
what I
still young
was.
and
Yeah,
still establishing
and
yourself.
and
It's easy
oh,
to,
and that's why I brought up the whole jail thing.
yeah.
Like I went from making no money to making like $40,000 a night.
Hmm.
So it was really, really, and I was fighting like I had 7 fights in the UFC, so I was kind of full of myself, and I got lost, and then eventually I knew I got released, and the Golden Boy promotion show was like, it was my first fight out the UFC, and in my mind it was like, smoke this guy, like I'm UFC level,
Yeah,
right? And I'm saying this in my mind, and I go in there and it was one of the worst performances I've had. Like the dude like freaking controlled my back. I got exhausted. Like he did the whole Dagestani handcuff where your arm is behind your back
yeah,
and like burnt my arm out, and it was just the worst thing. And the thing is, I had already planned to propose I mean, we're not together. We still co-parent. We're still friends.
yeah.
And but yeah, like I decided to propose to her while I was cutting weight in the sauna, like in my bathtub, like dying. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna propose to her because it was this big moment for me. It was like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna smoke this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
I'm gonna go propose to my girlfriend, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be like I'm back in the UFC. I'm like, that's it. And I went in there and fucking the
Wasn't quite the
worst.
fairy tale ending that
Nope, 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 not even close. But I was like, fuck it. Like, hey man, I set this goal. I said I was gonna propose to her, so I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And I did it. And it was cool. It was a good moment for both of us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like I said, we're still cool. I think she sold the ring. She doesn't want to say that, but like, I got no piece of it, bro. But we like no, like we're cool. We're cool, but like yeah, we're not together anymore. But we're cool.
No, man, that's you weren't lying. That's a pretty fucking funny story. Um, literally before it, yeah, I'm gonna smash him. I'm gonna fucking propose. Back in UFC in co-main event, and I'm sorted. Nah, it's just, but it's still memorable, and we're having a laugh about it now, mate. And
No,
you're,
100%, man.
it's all good, man. It's all good. Um, what would you say separates you from other fighters in your division right now?
What separates me, man? I mean, I'm the hardest. I'm not gonna say I'm the hardest worker. I know I'm gonna work hard as hell. I know I'm gonna work past my limits.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna push the pace. I try to break people. You know, my biggest enemy is myself. You know, that's my biggest enemy, right? So I'm a Gemini. I guess that's the thing, right? We got two sides.
Hmm.
So, but when when I'm on, I can fight anybody in the world, and I can fight you standing. I can fight you on the ground. I can fight you anywhere. Um, I don't know, man. I don't like to compare myself to anybody.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I could say like, you know what? Here's something I could say, right? If you're a better striker than me, I'm a better grappler than you. If you're a better grappler than me, I'm gonna be a better striker than you. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I'm about 10 years, 11 years in the game. Now I'm starting to understand how to put everything together. Really, really. I mean, the thing is, I've competed at the highest level and really not understand anything. And now I'm getting to this point where I'm actually planning my retirement. You know what I mean? So I want to go out with a
Yeah.
bang. And so I'm going out with a. I'm no, I'm not. I don't want to go out. I'm going out with a bang. I'm gonna retire in the UFC, and I want big memorable fights before I do retire. At least for my division, just so I could just say, hey, I did it twice. Peace out.
I do recall you saying in an interview, I think it was like, I can't remember if it was actually a pre-match interview, saying there is a time limit on, your MMA career. And I think that is the case for majority of fighters. It's what, 15, 20 years um, in terms of being in this game at an elite level. And I mean, obviously, there still is a life after MMA and, but just being on the top level, it's, I do recall you saying that. So just follow up on what you've just said as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where this number came from, but it came from. I mean, it popped up in my head.
Hmm.
I mean, fairly early when I started this journey. But 35, I'm gonna wait till the end of 35, like literally like the day before 36.
Yeah.
That's when I retire. You know. But yeah, I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off, and then I have bigger plans afterwards.
Yeah.
The goal is or for me to retire in the UFC, and people saying, "Damn, no, 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 please don't retire." You know what I mean? Please don't retire. You're about to get
You've got so
you're
much
about
more
to
to
like
offer. We
yeah,
want to see
yeah,
this
yeah. And I was
match. We
like,
want
I'm
to see this.
sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. It's time to go. I did what I
Yeah.
had to do. And I did it
I'm
my
with that
way.
fan
So
base, and I think that's a really young age to consider retirement. But if that's what your goal is, and I mean you've already achieved so much already. And I will ask you one or two more questions in relation to, basically if you're at the end of your career, but you can pick one dream opponent, past or present, that you get to go in the octagon with, who are you gonna pick?
mm,
On the spot, I know. So
that's a
dream
good
fight.
one.
You're Dana White. You're promoting your own fight.
A dream fight, like
Past or present.
hmm, that's a good one. I'm trying to think. Like, do I want to go? Like, I mean, we'd for sure sell out Reseda if I fought like. Let me see. I'm thinking Reseda, right? I mean, anywhere and like, Connor
Return
versus
to Glasgow.
everybody's gonna make Connor versus everybody's gonna make money. So I would love
Yeah,
to fight Connor, right? But for my legacy, for someone that I would want to fight, that would make me like, I know that I would fucking like really, really work hard for.
yeah,
Um, Probably like Jose Aldo in his prime.
nice.
Um, Someone like, I mean, anybody in the top 10 right now. I train hard for everybody, dude. I'm at the point like where like everybody, like I have to respect everybody, even if I know I can beat them. Like I still have to train really, really hard. But like
Yeah.
anybody in the top like five in the UFC at 135, 145 is they're all freaking killers. So you have to take all of them serious. Like all of them to me, I only want to fight like Marlon Vera. Like I want to fight what's his name? Marab. I want to fight just these top 10 guys, bro.
Mm.
Just because we're gonna fight, and we're gonna give the fans a show, and that's it, bro. Like because like I can give those guys all the work, and they can
Mm.
give me all the work, and then we're gonna see who's gonna be the baddest at the end of the night. And that's something I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go back down to 135 and finish my career. My team and I have talked about it. My last three fights have been at 145. My next fight will be at 145.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to go back down to 135 and close out my career. But my last loss was at 145, and I can't go out on a loss. I gotta got one more 145 fight.
Mm.
But I still haven't answered your question. Dream fight, yeah, Jose Aldo or Conor McGregor.
No, good choices, mate. Good choices.
Yeah.
As I will put a close to this interview, and I do thank you very much for your time. It's been a fucking awesome episode and really good interview.
Appreciate it, man.
Um, just a good way to start sort of the MMA side to the podcast as well, and just to have you on and just be open as you can, and just not just have it all be about being inside the cage, outside the cage, but there is a redemption to your story as well. And just I just can't thank you enough for your time. What I will ask, the last question is there anything you want to promote, anything you want to share? Because we're now at the end of the interview. Anything you want to plug? The opportunity is yours, mate.
Sick. Plugs my teams, Black House MMA, Rebar Performance, now Fight Syndicate, Big Bear, Fight Syndicate, MMA period. There's a few of them. My coach is Brazilian Samurai, Kenny Bolt Wrestling, Johnson, um, Jason Park, the Brazilian Samurai, Juan Gomez. Um, Shout out to my sponsors, Gitana, Fightwear, Diamond Mas Tequila, Athletic CBD, Blue Hole, Belizean Cuisine, um, Pelican Reef Villas, Rock LA. And yeah, that's it, man. I mean, if I missed out, I'll get you
Hmm.
guys in the next
No, no,
one.
no, no, mate. And where can the listeners find you on social media?
Right now, Warrior 135 UFC. I'm pretty much on Instagram. I think I want to start hopping on that Twitter soon. I don't know about the
No, wait, no,
whole
it's called X now. It's called X.
it's called X.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm
Elon
gonna
Musk
go
has
with
renamed it.
X.
So when you next go on
Well,
Twitter, the bird's gone. It's now just a fucking X.
that's kind of cool.
It's kind of distracting because like I've got loads of tabs open now, and I'm just like, am I on a porn website or Twitter?
Oh shit, that's
You
funny.
go on it. You
Hey,
see what I mean?
but what about what's the one for Instagram?
Uh, what your Instagram or the one that's opposite? No, TikTok,
No, what there's like a
Threads,
Threads.
Threads. I've not got that one yet. I'm just waiting for my new phone because I can't get Instagram on it at the
Yeah,
moment.
I'm
I have to use
not.
my
I'd
laptop.
rather go with Twitter or
Twitter does
X.
help me with my podcast runners. I know everyone's moaning about it, about Elon Musk and whatever, but for me personally, it allows me to interact with fans. I've gained like subscribers because of it, not specifically Twitter, but it does help. So yeah, sorry, X.
X.
Uh,
Yeah.
but no, that's cool, man. I'll send the listeners your way. I want to thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day because I think it's what midday at the moment, about 12:30, 1 for you. So you got the afternoon to enjoy. But if everyone can follow Albert on his social media handles, that'd be awesome. If you can follow me on my social media handles in the description below, that'd be fantastic. Then you see what I got lined up, see if I can match the energy of this interview. It's going to be very hard because it's been a banger of an episode. But if you can like this video, subscribe to the account, that'd be awesome. But for now, everyone, I need to stop doing that. Enjoy the rest of the day. Take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hey, this is Albert the Belizean Warrior Morales, and I'm on What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard.